What's going on, guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy 420, everybody. We're just going to wait for a couple of minutes here. Oh, we got him already. All right, great. So, guys, today, first of all, happy 420 Cannabis Connoisseurs. You are watching Backdoor Marketing with Jessica, and today we're going to be speaking to Eric Kaufman of Dama Financial and Paytender to talk about what was previously known as the black market turned legitimized business. So we're just waiting on Eric Kaufman to join us right now.
I think I'm here. Do you see me?
I don't see you, but I can hear you. So let's see. What's up, Jenna Marie? How are you? Hello, it's me. Hello, Guido. So do you want to, okay, so we are waiting for your connection. Okay, so Jeff Odell says that he can see you. So we can go ahead and start. And so long as the audience sees you, do you see me? Hello, how are you, Jenna Marie? Okay, we're going to request again. And we're waiting again. So like I said, guys, thank you everybody for joining me today.
There you go. Can you see me now?
I still cannot see you. But as long as the audience can see you, we are good to go.
I don't know how to answer if they could see me or not. Does somebody, Jeff?
So Jeff Odell, can you let me know if you guys can see him right now?
He said he's gone, but I got disconnected, but I'm back.
Right. So Jeff Odell, do you see him? There you are. And we are back. How are we doing? How's everything?
Good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm very good. So just a quick introduction, guys. This is Eric Kaufman of Dama Financial and Paytender. I'm going to go ahead and let him give his own credentials here because he has quite the resume. But I understand that you're the Chief Revenue Officer of Dama Financial. Is that correct?
That's correct. And what that means is that I'm in charge of spearheading sales and driving revenue, and a focus on managing and building out the national sales and marketing teams and securing enterprise level partnerships. And partnerships like those with NUGL have a real focus on integrating Paytender into your platform. And Paytender is a merchant processing and digital consumer wallet solution. And while that is, those are a lot of words, what Paytender really is if a customer goes into a cannabis dispensary, it allows them to buy cannabis through their phone.
Okay, so let's jump back a second and start off with asking. So the topic of today is how formerly considered black market is now rising and emerging into the legitimate business space. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, first, I really don't like calling it the black market. I think it's a loaded term and has a lot of negative connotations.
Yeah.
I prefer to call it the illicit market, and I was corrected. I used to call it the black market, and I was speaking at an industry event in Los Angeles about a year and a half ago, and a woman in the audience stood up, and she was a consultant to many social equity applicants, and she called me on it and put me in check and was right. So I've made a concerted effort ever since then to not use that term and call it the illicit market.
So we at NUGL call it the legacy market, yeah.
Or the legacy market. Either one is great. So if you come from the legacy or the illicit market, it's really interesting. It means that you figured out how to be in cannabis and get it done beforehand. Now that it's been legalized, it means you're saddled with overcompliance, tedious application processes, tremendous overhead, and you're now required to operate this cash-intensive business in an over-regulated industry. And you may or may not have had any traditional business training or experience, right? And that's the equivalent of putting me on a farm and saying you're now a cultivator. And nothing good is going to come from that. So that means you're starting at a disadvantage yet again. Yes. So there are a lot of hurdles.
So who is the brainchild of Dama Financial, and why did they feel necessary to create Paytender?
So Dama was created by two people, and they were payments and banking industry veterans. They took two payments companies public, and that's great. They did very well, right? But really the important point there is that both of those payments companies that they ran one of the fundamental value propositions was moving cash-based economies to banked and digital economies. Well, there's not a larger cash-based economy than the cannabis industry. So the impetus for this was, can you hear me okay? Is my connection okay?
Yeah, perfect.
So the impetus was several years ago, one of the co-founders was reading the newspaper and saw this headline story, cannabis industry all operates in cash, it's causing big problems. And, you know, he's talking to other co-founders and says, somebody's going to solve this problem.
Right.
Skip ahead, a year later, same headline, same article. The other co-founder, she called him back the next day. She goes, I know who's going to solve this problem. We are. We've done it twice before. We're going to do it a third time. And then that's how Dama was born.
Fantastic. So give us a little bit more detail on what exactly Dama is and what Paytender is, what the difference is between the two.
Okay. So Dama Financial at its core provides access to FDIC insured banking for the cannabis industry. The way we do that is a little different. So what we do is we find FDIC or OCC insured banks, all domestic, right? The first question everybody asks is, are they FDIC insured? Are they in the US?
Right.
Yes, right? So we find these banks that decide they want to bank cannabis. They make a risk-based decision. Contrary to popular belief, it's not illegal to bank cannabis. It's a risk-based decision by that bank. These are smaller to medium-sized banks, right? Not B of A or Wells Fargo. Smaller to medium-sized banks. And that means that by definition, they're just not equipped to run a compliance program for such a high-risk category like cannabis, which is the highest of high risk. So they partner with us, Dama Financial, to run that program on their behalf. So we are the compliance arm of the bank. We oversee all of the BSA, AML, KYC, and that might be getting too technical, but we run that whole program for them. We're also responsible for the other side of the coin, which is bringing on customers and deposits. And those customers can be anybody from a plant-touching cultivator, manufacturer, distributor, retailer, storefront, delivery, lab, law firm with a cannabis practice. Anybody that touches the industry, we can bank. But what's also unique is that we then sit in the middle of those two because, as probably anybody watching can guess, banks are, by definition, very conservative and not really entrepreneurial. So we sit in the middle as kind of like this fintech arm, right? And we develop all the products and services that are unique to the cannabis industry. And that's really pretty cool. And it's a fun place to be because, as you know, this industry is unlike anything else out there. And
it's the Wild West right now.
It is the Wild West. So to give the same kind of plain old banking services that you would get elsewhere, it just doesn't work. It's not the same ecosystem. So we're able to develop and tailor those products and services and fill the void. So that's pretty fun. And Paytender is one of those products.
So let me ask you that. Let me go ahead and transition to my next question from there then. How secure is our money? I know you said that it's FDIC insured, but this is a two-part question. How secure is our money once we invest or deposit with Dama and with Paytender? And from there, what happens when banks decide to start banking in cannabis? Will you continue banking in cannabis, or will you be a branched offset?
Two good questions. So let's take the first question. Your money is at a bank that's made a conscious decision to bank cannabis. They partner with us to do that. So that bank absolutely knows that those deposits are cannabis funds. Those funds are FDIC insured up to the $250,000 per account that any other funds would be from any other industry. So your funds are absolutely secured 100%. Now, we provide ongoing compliance and oversight, as does the bank. So if you do anything wrong or incorrect, then you're going to have a problem. And we have a heightened compliance department, and we are a compliance-first organization, so everything emanates from that. But the funds are secure. They're there in your name. You'll know the financial institution your funds are at. You have the account number and the routing number. You can call that financial institution, confirm that your funds are there, and then they'll send you back to us to service the account if you have any questions. So there's total transparency and compliance from start to finish. The second question is, what happens when cannabis becomes federally legal?
Yes.
So this is a long, I'm going to give you a long answer, but let's first start with, it will become legal at some point. It's not a matter of if, it's when. Yes. Secondly, we believe at Dama, everybody should have access to banking without question. It's also why we spend so much time in Washington, D.C., working with Senator Crapo's office and others, helping push forth the correct legislation to encourage the federal legalization of cannabis. So we're all for that, and we're pushing that through. Now, once cannabis becomes legal, it's another 12 to 18 months before the laws actually get rolled out in earnest. So say it's legal on January 1, 2021. You've got another, it's not till 2022 that it's actually, the rules and regulations are there. So you've got some lag time. Then it's not as if B of A is just going to open its vault and you can just walk in the front door and open an account, right? That's just not how it's going to happen. And I'll give you what I think is a great analogy. Today, only 4 banks bank alcohol on any major scale. Plenty of banks touch alcohol, but on any real scale. And why is that? It's because roughly 30% of all alcohol sales, right? Don't think Anheuser-Busch or Coors, but think your local liquor store, your local bar, your Cheers, right? Wherever you go to, roughly, that accounts for roughly 30% of all alcohol sales in cash. That much cash going through the ecosystem is a red flag for money laundering, which makes it a high-risk category. Meaning once cannabis is legalized, at no point in our lifetime is it going to be considered a lower risk and have less compliance around it than cannabis does, or than alcohol does. So let's say it gets legalized. You will have a flood of banks that say, we're going to take a look at it, okay? From that, a fraction will take a second look at it. And of that fraction, a smaller fraction will take an even deeper look and look at it really in earnest. And then of that, you'll have another fraction that say, we want to get in. And of those that want to bank the industry, some will do it themselves. Some will want somebody like Dama to be able to do it on their behalf, because at this point, we're so far ahead, not just in our systems and controls and processes, but also the institutional knowledge that we've cultivated from our years in the industry. And that's really valuable to a bank. And you and your listeners know that it's not just the cannabis industry, right? That's like calling it the food service industry. But a supermarket is a really different business than a restaurant, than Uber Eats, right?
Right.
And Humboldt is a different culture than Palm Springs, than Los Angeles, than in other states. So having that knowledge and understanding of the customer base, what the needs are, how to service them, that's really invaluable for a bank and understanding the industry and the risks associated with it.
And what are some of the problems that a business owner of a cannabis, hemp, CBD business owner runs into currently? If I was a business owner and I tried to open a business right now, without proper funding or without being able to have a bank lend me money, what am I going to run into?
Well, first, how it's expensive to get in the cannabis industry, right? The headlines don't necessarily paint the whole picture. It's a very expensive endeavor, and you need money. Well, if you have nowhere to put that money, you have a real problem, right? It's not unheard of where we end up with customers that prior to having an account with us would spend 2 to 3 days every month running around to various 7-Elevens collecting gift cards and money orders to pay their bills. Well,
right.
To have an employee to 3 days a month doing that is really inefficient. We had a customer that came on board that literally had 57 different entities and 9 bank accounts because they were figuring it out and doing it, not so transparently. We were able to synthesize that, bring them down to 6 accounts, and at that point they were able to disperse those employees that were spending a ridiculous amount of time on bookkeeping to other things that are more additive to growing the business. So operating in cash has a real cost. It's dirty, right? The money is dirty with COVID and everything going on. It's just unhealthy. Yeah. It's not safe just from a security perspective. And so we help solve those problems with a number of products and services.
Now, from a securities perspective, what kind of precautions do you guys take to ensure the money, but also to protect the deliveries, pickups, and such?
So we offer, like I said, a suite of products. So let me just touch on those quickly, and then I can kind of bring it all together for you, right? So you have access to a bank account, an interest earning account, Armor Card cash pickup and processing, which works a few different ways, but that's huge. We have you have access to bill pay by check, ACH, or wire. We have Dama Payments, which is a B2B invoicing platform. We have Paytender, which we'll talk about, I think, a little bit more, which is at the retail side, among other products. But what we're able to do, one, is send an armored car to your location. Then, and I had to hit ignore. So with that, 90% of theft is employee theft. So you hear a lot of these stories where, oh, unmarked van has picked up cash and got robbed at a gas station. That happens. But you also have employee theft. We mitigate all of that. We send an armored truck to your facility, pick up the cash, it's in your account next day. Dama Payments allows you to transact and make payments by ACH or wire electronically. Or if it's cash, you can have your vendor schedule armored car cash pickup. We'll send the truck to your vendor, pick up the cash, and it's in our customer's account next day. So you don't have to send an employee across town and hope both the employee and the cash make it back safely. And then with Paytender, we're trying to take cash out of the ecosystem at the retail level so that the dispensaries aren't sitting on, a safe with 6-7 figures in cash at the end of a good weekend.
I certainly understand the basis for Dama Financial, and it sounds fantastic. It definitely gets through the point of bringing businesses that were previously sort of in the shadow, so to speak, and bringing them sort of into a legitimate business sense. Tell me more about Paytender. Now, Dama Financial founded Paytender, correct?
Correct. It's one of our products. So it's a Dama created and rolled out product. So what that means is that it's a bank product. It's backed by FDIC insured bank that knows it's banking cannabis. So every touch point knows that it's a cannabis transaction. And I think that's important both from the customer level and the merchant level, because there has been so much noise in the channel about banking, about credit cards. So let's be clear. Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Discover do not accept cannabis transactions on their rails. Now, you might find a dispensary that's processing credit cards, and they will until they can't, because eventually that gets shut down. They're breaking the law. The other rumor is, oh, well, the merchant processor will say, we're sending it on the MasterCard rails overseas. That's bogus too. Their bylaws are global. It's the same rule everywhere. They do not accept cannabis transactions. And you'll see recently a gentleman was picked up at LAX for illegally processing credit card transactions for cannabis on a $100 million wire fraud scheme. So it's illegal.
Wow.
So it will catch up to you.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah.
For the merchant, it's really important that they read their merchant agreement. I'll get more into the product, but some of these things are just important to dispel some of kind of the rumors out there. It's important to read your merchant agreement because, as in other industries, the merchant processor can hold your funds in reserves. Well, there were a couple companies out there, merchant processors, that were processing credit card transactions that got shut down, and they had cash in reserves from those merchants, 5-6 figures. And when those companies got shut down and disappeared, those merchants they lost their money. It was gone.
Oh, wow.
So the difference with Paytender is that it's compliant, right? And it's sustainable. And it enables the customer, basically think of it as Venmo meets the Starbucks app for cannabis. So you go to paytender.com, download the app. You get the app, first name, last name, email, phone number, you're done, right? So that's faster than going to the ATM inside the dispensary, right? Now you have the app. Once you have the app, you could decide to either directly link your bank account, which is the same, did it just get dark in here? Which is the same process as you would on PayPal. You just need your bank name, you'll pick the bank, and then your online credentials, so username and password, and your bank account is linked. For the consumer, if they choose to pay that way, there's no charge to them.
Okay.
If they decide not to link their bank account, they can then pay by debit card. So they just dip their card when they're in the dispensary, pay by debit card. And for that, there's a $3 charge to the consumer, just like there is everywhere else. For the merchant, what's great here is one, they're moving the consumer out of cash and into electronic payments. But we also have this feature functionality called Pay Ahead, which has been a game changer for retail and a big deal during COVID for curbside, because it allows the merchant, when a consumer places an order for delivery, and they get the text message, you get the text message, your order is confirmed, and then another one, your order is out for delivery. Well, we have a link embedded there that you can ask the consumer to pay in advance. So the delivery driver doesn't go until they know that the consumer's paid. Because for delivery on the business side, a big issue is they show up and the customer either doesn't have enough cash or is a no-show, right? And if you're a business, your driver can only make so many stops in an hour, and they just lost the sale. Well, here they've paid in advance. That's great for the business. It's awesome, right? It's truly contactless. They don't have to exchange cash. They don't have to dip credit cards. Nothing. It's already done. They check your ID, you get your product, and everybody's on their way.
Excellent. Excellent. So give me a little bit of perspective what the difference is between Paytender / Dama and all of the other cannabis financial institutions that are boasting out there now.
So the way I look at it is there is no one out there that's put together what I call the entire critical financial ecosystem to empower this industry to be able to operate just like a non-cannabis related industry. We're putting together all of those pieces of the puzzle. And Paytender, we're not just a merchant processing solution. It's simply one of the products that we offer among a whole suite of financial services, all of which are backed by FDIC insured banking, by bank partners that know they're banking cannabis. There's transparency from start to finish, and that's really a big deal. If a consumer downloads Paytender and they leave funds in their electronic wallet, it's sitting in an FDIC insured account. Those funds are safe. When a merchant has a merchant account because they're using Paytender, it's in an FDIC insured account and they have access to their funds next day. We're normalizing and making this industry operate more like a traditional industry. And because we put together that whole ecosystem, it's just a fundamental different product offering than anything else out there. Maybe you can get a bank account somewhere. Maybe you can get a merchant processing solution somewhere else. Well, this is a one-stop shop.
Now, does Dama Financial, or I should say Dama, does Dama Financial offer lending to new small businesses?
We just rolled out a lending pilot, very small to test it, and that's for real estate and equipment financing. And I think sometime at the top of next quarter, if I'm being conservative, we will have supply chain financing based on inventory and receivables. So we're moving in that direction. And this is really critical. I think it's the final piece of the puzzle that kind of closes that loop to be able to enable the industry to grow just as any other industry would be able to grow, because a lot of these businesses, they have cash flow issues. And with traditional style lending, we can smooth out those bumps, and it's going to be enable the industry to grow to unprecedented heights and just remove so many barriers. And right now, many can get access to some sort of financing, but the rates are off the chart, and it's actually prohibitive to your growth. It's almost like a lifeline, but it really doesn't help you. So because we'll be able to provide that all underpinned by banking, we're able to mitigate the risk and bring the rates down. So that it's really exciting.
So from a user's perspective, walk me through, I'm a new cannabis business. I'd like to borrow some money, and then I want to go ahead and start banking with Dama, and I want to start using Paytender. From a user's perspective, walk me through the process of how easy is this, or how many steps or hurdles am I going to encounter?
Super easy. So everything is done online, right? damafinancial.com. There's a big button on the top right, apply now. As soon as you click that and create a username and password, you'll get a call from our core team. The core team is the customer onboarding and resolution expert. And we gave it that acronym because their job is not only to help you through the application process, but because we talk to so many people in the industry, we just have a lot of institutional knowledge, and they act as de facto consultants through that process. So it's really important. So at that point, from the time you get a dedicated person, right? It's not just an 800 number where it's a different person answering every time. It's a dedicated specialist to your application. From the time you get all of your paperwork in, we can have your account open in just a few days. Okay. Once the account is open, you get assigned a dedicated relationship manager. And that person becomes intimately familiar with your account and your business. And they tell you about all new products and services that we're rolling out. They answer and help you troubleshoot any issues that you're having in the financial services world and help walk you through that. And then on the Paytender side, we're able to roll that out and do all of the installation and training remotely. So you'll get an installation kit. Think of it as kind of when you get a modem from the cable company, right? And they send you a self-install kit. But you don't just get that kit. You then get a call. We show you how to set it up. We provide training to you and your entire staff. We'll provide that training as often, frequently or infrequently as you would like it. And then we provide you with all the marketing collateral. And so you're ready to go from day one. It's really easy. I mean, it's truly an easy process. And then you could see from the consumer perspective, you download the app, first name, last name, email, phone, and you're done. And then you only have to do that once. So from the merchant perspective, it's faster than the consumer using the ATM. So it allows them to turn over more and more customers and make for a better experience in store.
That's fantastic. And I think just like we've been talking about emerging businesses that were working outside of the traditional business place and now bringing them into the light, so to speak, making this an easy process and providing training is so crucial.
What we do, and
now,
we've learned a lot, right? We've learned a lot over the years. Every vertical of the cannabis industry has its own challenges, and we try to help and be good stewards of the industry, right? And so as you go through the application process with us, and then once you're a customer and you get assigned a relationship manager, if there's a question we don't know the answer to, we'll find out and get back to you. And that could have something to do with what it is that we do, or totally unrelated. We just try to help problem solve. And we think if we do that, it's kind of a rising tide moment in this industry. And if we can help lift everybody up just by what it is that we do, then it's better for everyone.
So who qualifies? If I'm a new business owner, what qualifications do I have in order to apply?
So you need to be licensed, right? You need to have all of your paperwork in order. And we have, different products for smaller and larger businesses. We have a social equity program that we're really proud of. And so really any licensed cannabis operator in any area of the industry, from cultivation, manufacturing, distribution, retail, whether that's a storefront, a delivery, anybody that touches the industry, we can bank. And if you're, a plant touching business, then you obviously need to be licensed. If you're ancillary, like a jar manufacturer, but you're not really touching it, you don't have a cannabis license, we could still provide those services to that part of your business. So you have to be a licensed operator.
Excellent. Okay, so lastly, where can we find Paytender? Where can we get a hold of Dama Financial? And how does one apply today? Let's say I want to go on right now. What are the websites, URLs? Where can we find you?
2 websites, damafinancial.com and paytender.com. You can get to Paytender from Dama Financial, but either one. And at Paytender, the merchant can visit paytender.com and they'll find a space to go for them. And then the end user, the customer that goes into the cannabis dispensary that just wants to download the wallet, just go to paytender.com as well. And if you're looking to open a bank account, just visit damafinancial.com, click apply now. That's all you have to do, and we'll reach out to you then. So it's couldn't be any easier.
Eric, thank you so much for your time today. I think that giving a fresh perspective and sort of some hope, so to speak, to new businesses and emerging markets, I think that it's fantastic what you guys are doing. And thank you so much for everything that you provided today.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure, and we're in a really fun industry at a great time, and just super excited to be a part of it and doing our part to help it grow.
It's fantastic insight. Thank you so much. And to everybody out in Instagram Live land, I would like to say thank you so much for watching Backdoor Marketing with Jessica. And we'll see you next Friday at 4:20. Thank you so much, Eric.
Bye-bye. Thanks.